I now recognize the honourable member from Cape Breton Centre.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I must say it looks good to see you there. Madam Speaker, it is my distinct pleasure to have the opportunity to rise in this House, the People's House, as we're so often told, to reply to the speech from the throne. 1 year ago, the people of Cape Breton Centre entrusted me with the honour of being their voice in this hallowed chamber. Madam Speaker, I do not take this great duty lightly. To be present in the chamber after 365 some plus days, and to be granted the opportunity to speak on behalf of the people of Cape Breton Centre, it is indeed an honour and a responsibility. To the people of my riding, I promise I will be an honest, open representative, and I will take the trust that they have granted me seriously. Standing here, I think of the women who've entered this chamber before me. Two in particular stand out. Alexa McDonough, the first woman to lead a major recognized political party in Canada, the Nova Scotia NDP, and Helen MacDonald, another former leader, and someone I am honored to call my aunt. When I was approached to run in my good friend Tammy Martin's place, it was not a decision I made lightly. After many conversations with family, along with their encouragement and support, I knew the time was right, and I could give it my all. At this time, I want to thank my family, I want to thank my supportive family, I should say, without whom I would not be here today, even if they are overbearing and a tad opinionated. I'm joking, Madam Speaker, about being overbearing, but a tad opinionated? A bit. I digress. I do, in all seriousness, want to thank my partner, Matt Brown, and our beautiful rainbow baby, Rory. My mom and two dads, my grandmothers, and my in-laws for their love, support, and encouragement. Thank you to my extended family, including my friends and their families, all of whom mean more than I could describe. To my campaign team and the countless volunteers, I want to thank them all. I value their hard work to make this moment possible. They work tirelessly and as safely as possible on sidewalks, roads, and driveways in conditions that I can only describe as icy. I also want to thank our leader of the Nova Scotia NDP for the encouragement and generosity he has shown me and my family, especially to Rory and her artwork. Madam Speaker, the Nova Scotia NDP caucus and staff welcomed me with open arms and made me feel like a part of the team immediately. And it is my true privilege to work with a team that is indeed a team. Madam Speaker, I have a fantastic constituency office team as well. In Dylan, Anne, and Donna. I wish to thank them for their dedication to the constituents of Cape Breton Centre. Madam Speaker, I'm a proud Cape Bretoner. My roots on our beautiful island run deep on my Scottish side. On two sides of my family tree, I am third generation. One of my great-grandmothers came from Bohemia, Czech, and another from Lebanon. Due to their journeys, I stand here today, and I live on one of the most beautiful islands in Unama'ki, Cape Breton. In my humble opinion, there is no better place, but that does not mean Cape Breton is not without its struggles and strife. Through all the hardships, Cape Bretoners come together in friendship and solidarity. Madam Speaker, in Cape Breton, 1 in 3 families live in poverty. 1 in 2 families live in poverty in Cape Breton Centre. In Cape Breton, 20% of seniors, that's 1 in 5, live in poverty. This is unacceptable. It is shameful, and it is an absolute disgrace. Madam Speaker, I was alarmed and dumbfounded when reading the throne speech to find that poverty was only mentioned once. Once, Madam Speaker, and it was only in concerning lifting low-income earners out of energy poverty. Poverty reduction and elimination should be front and center. But it was not even mentioned. That is what is missing from the throne speech. There are people behind these numbers. Madam Speaker, they deserve our help, our respect, and our dedication to poverty elimination. We have fantastic organizations and individuals working extremely hard to help individuals living in poverty, but charity cannot be a pathway to upholding human rights to adequate standard of living, Madam Speaker. This is the government's responsibility, not charities. Madam Speaker, you may not be aware, I'm sure, but I served as councillor in Cape Breton, at the Cape Breton Regional Municipality, and I enjoyed my time on council. And I served with people who have a passion for improving the lives of residents. Municipal councils are the grassroots of governance. They are often being asked to do more with little financial help. Equalization, also known as provincial transfers, have not changed in years while the CPI has risen and while municipal transfers to the province have risen. For example, the CBRM receives $15 million from the province, but sends to the province between 19 to 20 million in conditional transfers. Madam Speaker, municipal funding is extremely important to population retention and recruitment. Municipalities, including the CBRM, need proper infrastructure, roads, parks, sidewalks, water, sewer. But residents, especially new residents, find taxes too high in comparison to those services. More funding for municipalities is needed to retain and recruit young professionals, including healthcare workers and specialists. I do want to acknowledge that the throne speech did mention doctor recruitment. And I hope this includes providing more funding to municipalities so they can provide the services residents are looking for. Madam Speaker, healthcare is a deep concern for the residents of Cape Breton Centre and all of Cape Breton. Our healthcare has been starved for 7 years. In 7 years, not one long-term care bed has opened, not one. Madam Speaker, I will acknowledge that after 7 years, new beds are finally being built, including in my community. I'm grateful for this new long-term care facility. The residents of Cape Breton are grateful, but it's not enough. For 7 years, not a single bed was opened. Meanwhile, this government sat on a surplus while people have been dying in the hospitals awaiting placements, or those that died at home also waiting for placements. Seniors are living in hospitals because there are not enough beds. And because of this, a backlog has been created in our hospitals that extend to our emergency rooms, which in turn has created co-critical situations within EHS. I have been told and witnessed family members surrendering their mom or dad to the healthcare system because they can no longer care for them at home. And the wait list for long-term care is too long. Meanwhile, not one bed was opened for 7 years. I'm encouraged, though, to see long-term care in the throne speech and making mention of investments into long-term care. However, I hope this means opening thousands of beds, not a few hundred. Improving the standard of care, proper staffing ratios, and better pay for staff in order to retain and recruit. Madam Speaker, healthcare workers, they do not need lip service, but they need help and support before they completely burn out. On a personal note, my daughter Rory is a rainbow baby, and she was born after I had 2 miscarriages, Madam Speaker. I can relate to the story that we heard earlier today during question period. I too sat in 2 emergency rooms one in a waiting room while there was no place for me to go, while I awaited for my doctor. I understand that pain. I understand the problems with this healthcare system because I have been there and I have seen the tireless efforts of the staff to help. But they are limited in what they can do because there's not enough of them and there's not enough spaces. I am encouraged, though, that the throne speech mentioned a commitment to mental health and addictions, and the need for mental health and addiction services in my community is immense. There are not enough psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, nurses, healthcare professionals, and other healthcare professionals to fulfill the needs of the people of Cape Breton and to alleviate the pressure and the caseloads from other staff. Madam Speaker, the stories I've heard are heartbreaking. People seeking help need to receive it when they reach out, not weeks later. People in need of mental health services cannot improve their mental health if every 5 weeks they're starting over. Mental health and addiction healthcare workers are trying their best to fill in the gaps, but they need help. They, too, are on the verge of burnout, if they are not there already. Madam Speaker, let's go back to discussing seniors. Seniors are being affected by the lack of affordable housing options in Nova Scotia. Madam Speaker, seniors need the government to invest in publicly owned, co-op and non-for-profit housing to ensure that there are more options for seniors and other Nova Scotians looking for affordable, appropriate housing. This government has encouraged seniors to stay home longer, but home care is often not enough, and families are exhausted. I have seniors in my community who cannot afford hearing aids, medications, and other necessities. We need to do more for our seniors. Madam Speaker, they, like many other Nova Scotians, are falling through the cracks. Madam Speaker, I was pleased to see the throne speech mention the difficulties faced by women in the workforce around childcare. However, Madam Speaker, while working with the federal government is commendable, it falls short. I believe Nova Scotia can and should develop a provincial strategy. Women with young children experienced the biggest loss in total working hours during the pandemic. However, the pandemic only cast more light on this issue many parents were already facing. How can they work if they do not have access to childcare? If they can access it, how much of their paycheck is going to childcare? Nova Scotia needs to invest in sustainable, accessible, and affordable systems of childcare. We need to pay the childcare staff at these facilities better wages in order to recruit or retain childcare providers. Madam Speaker, in my community and across Nova Scotia, many workers that do not have access to paid sick leave, some of whom are healthcare workers. Madam Speaker, during the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, workers were told to stay home if they have symptoms of illness. That, Madam Speaker, is easier said than done. It speaks of privilege. For many workers, missing a day of work without pay could mean the difference between paying the bills or not. It also means parents choosing between going to work and sending their children to school or losing a day's pay due to not having paid sick leave. Despite what some people may think, Madam Speaker, childcare does not happen organically. It is disappointing, Madam Speaker, the throne speech made no mention of paid sick leave for Nova Scotians, especially during COVID-19. Madam Speaker, I come from a strong union community, and unions play a large part in my family and household. During the days of coal mining, the largest union was the UMWA. New Waterford was the home of William Bill Davis, a coal miner and father of 10. It was also the location BESCO thought they could bust the unions in the 1920s. especially in 1925, by demoralizing the workers and their families. This is sounding familiar, Madam Speaker. When that didn't work, BESCO decided to starve the residents. On June 11th, 1925, Bill Davis was among the crowd of up to 3,000 striking miners and community members who marched on Waterford Lake, where the power and water to the town had been shut off. Bill Davis was shot and killed by the company police that day, but his legacy and that of the miners of the 1920s continues to burn strong. Madam Speaker, they stood the gaff and won. Their reasons for striking are similar to the reasons workers strike today: livable wages, safe working conditions, the right to fair and collective bargaining. Mr. Speaker, this government passed bill after bill of anti-worker legislation that led to over 75,000 Nova Scotians being stripped of their right to fair and collective bargaining. Madam Speaker, I stand with these workers who've been demoralized, disrespected, and disregarded by the government, just as I did outside these doors on a hot September day in 2017. I'm sure many members remember that day. We were quite loud and desperate for this government to hear us. Madam Speaker, this government needs to repair its relationship with the workers of Nova Scotia. This can be done by overturning the unconstitutional bills previously passed by this government. Madam Speaker, I'd be remiss if I did not mention post-secondary education. We need to create a more accessible and affordable post-secondary education for students. When I attended CBU, Cape Breton University, I was lucky there was a tuition freeze, which made getting my degree more affordable. That was in 2007 to 2011. My cohorts and I were lucky compared to those entering post-secondary education after 2013. These graduates, sitting in their seats on graduation day, imagine sitting there in your cap and gown, are accompanied by a mortgage-size debt. Post-secondary education is becoming less and less affordable, and right now, graduates are entering an economy where carrying this kind of debt is even more unsustainable. Mr. Speaker, or Madam Speaker, I'm sorry, you're Madam Speaker, I love saying that. We must eliminate the barriers to post-secondary education, and that includes eliminating tuition fees at all NSCC campuses. As I draw my remarks to a close, I wish to acknowledge that there are many issues that need to be addressed and deserve more attention. I will continue to raise them in other ways in this House, the People's House. Madam Speaker, I hope the government will endeavour to work with us on addressing the issues concerning Nova Scotians. I know I'm willing. Madam Speaker, I'm proud to stand here as a member of the Legislative Assembly. I am proud to represent the residents of Cape Breton Centre, and I hope to do them proud. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move to adjourn debate on address and reply.
The motion is to adjourn debate on address and reply.